my brother came and cut the cord, and it was very sweet. And yeah, that's how Houston was born. He weighed 8'11". He was a big baby.
Action.
Hey, y'all. How are you? We're doing good. Just chilling in our living room. So this week was Weston's birthday. He is 23, turned 23.
We're 20 seconds into this, and DJ's already kicking her shoes off, by the way.
Well, I don't know why I had them on anyway. We're in the house. So.
How many seconds? Never mind. Thought we were just like, if it gets too hot in here or something, you know.
It might. The fan's above us. I'll turn it on. But I remembered that I never talked about Houston's birth story. I've talked about Weston's, and we did a video over Emily. Weston's video we didn't do on my channel. We did on AFH channel.
The original Do Your Best podcast videos.
Yes. Probably 2 years ago. 3 years ago?
It's been longer than 2 years ago because Phoebe's over 2 years old and you didn't have a channel until after you got Phoebe.
That's true. Yeah, so it's been at least 3 years since we talked about it. I'll find the link to that and put it in the description if y'all want to go watch that. If you weren't followers then. Because it was a pretty emotional video for me to do.
A little bit?
A lot.
I wasn't even in that video. It was just you and him.
Yeah. Yeah, it was extremely overwhelming.
Emotional damage.
Very, very emotional video. So, anyway, a few months ago we talked about Emily and
our love child.
Our love child. That's what I call her. And now I wanted to. It just reminded me to talk about Houston because we haven't talked about him yet.
I always forget about that baby. No. The last one born, everybody forgets about her.
He would never let us forget about him.
That's what Emily always says about her. She's like, I'm just the middle child and nobody loves me.
And she is full of, you know what?
Lies.
Yeah, all lies. It worked out because she's the middle child, but she's the only girl. So it definitely works in her favor. She is not the typical middle child. Our typical middle child is our oldest. All the TikToks and everything I see, it's like, you know, the middle child is the hardest, wildest, all the things. And that has not been our story.
Because nobody loves that poor little middle child.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So, Houston's
the child that wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, we were done.
We were done.
Kids.
Like, we had Emily, and we said, two's company, three's a crowd. We don't need to be outnumbered. Who needs 3 kids? Two's enough.
Yeah. We'd actually already done the add-on to our house for
2 kids.
2 kids. And
you didn't build an extra bedroom for a 3rd child.
No, because this house, the original part of the house, which some of you guys know the story. This is the house that Daniel grew up in, and both of his parents passed away when he was young, and so the original part of the house was a very small 2-bedroom house, and we did an add-on in 2010, and we added on a 2-story, but it's our bedroom, bathroom, and then upstairs bedroom and bathroom and a little living area.
Playroom for kids.
It was just playroom. But it's still small. But yes, we were done having kids. And then it was like, okay, well.
Well, hang on. Emily was like maybe 3 years old.
Yeah.
Something like that. Emily was about 3 years old. And something come up about having more kids. And we were like, nah, we don't. You know, people would ask and we're like, we're done.
Well, I didn't want to have any kids after I was 30, period.
That was a hard rule.
That was a hard line. I was not going to have any after I was 30. And
probably because you watched your mom have a baby at 39.
Yes, and that was not.
That's probably a deterrent.
Yeah, no. I did not want to do that. Newborn, perimenopause, like, no.
Well, also part of the reason why we had decided we weren't having more kids was Emily was difficult to conceive.
She was very hard to conceive.
She was a hard baby too, but she was difficult to conceive. It took us a year and a half to get pregnant with Emily.
Yeah.
And we were like flirting with the line of having to do in vitro fertilization and spend a lot of money and all that. And it was I'm not going to say it was stressful getting pregnant with Emily, but
it became a job.
It became a job. It became an issue.
Yeah.
So after she was born, we're like, that's too much work. That's not worth it. We don't need 3 kids.
That's not what
we're not doing that.
It wasn't worth it.
You know, we can practice, pretend, but we're not really going to try to have a baby because we won't do that again.
Yeah, no.
And after Emily turned about 3 years old, we started having these little weird conversations of, well, what would it be like?
What if?
What if we had another kid? What would it be like? And we actually had another little girl for a while that we were fostering.
Yeah.
And that was kind of we had talked about like the potential option of adopting a kid or what does that look like? And we ended up fostering a little girl that was a little bit younger than Emily, maybe.
Yeah, just a few months.
Less than a year younger than Emily. But she had a lot of health issues.
Yeah.
Sweet little girl.
Yes.
But had a lot of health issues. Still does. And she's blind, legally blind. Parents struggled before she was born. Mom's now in prison. Killed her boyfriend.
Well, no, she's not in prison. She died.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
He died.
No.
She killed her boyfriend. Dustin didn't. My dad didn't die, but...
Yeah. She did.
In prison?
No, she got shot.
I can't keep up. I thought she was in prison. It doesn't matter. None of those details matter. But we fostered her for a while because she was being raised by her great-grandma, who was in her 80s.
Yeah.
And anyway, so we took her in for a while, and with the whole system and everything, we ended up not being able to keep her long term. But that was our first thought process of what if we had 3 kids? And we didn't just go down the fostering other kids angle because of some struggles with the system, I guess, really.
The system is interesting.
The system is not designed to help people that volunteer to be foster parents.
Correct.
In any way. And we felt trapped. Like once we started helping out, it was like they saw us as suckers and said,
yeah.
You're on your own now, figure it out. And I didn't like that. It wasn't, It's not a good system designed to help out foster parents in any way.
No.
But anyways, aside from that, we thought after that, we were like, well, I don't know. We could have a 3rd baby on our own. Maybe. But we're not going to work at it. We just finally, after many nights of talking in bed and having little romantic chit chats in the covers.
Also, I was 29.
I
was 29.
We said, well, not quite yet when we were having these talks. You were close to 29, I bet. But we said, what if DJ gets off birth control? What if we just stop birth control and see what happens? Because, we were Christians and we know God's in control and what's going to happen is going to happen. But we also had dealt with a year and a half of not being able to get pregnant.
Yes.
So we're like, we'll just stop birth control.
See what happens. And
when she doesn't get pregnant before she's 30, we'll just do something more permanent for birth control. And we weren't meant to have 3 kids.
Yes, that was our plan.
Then what happened?
I got off birth control in June, July-ish, somewhere in there. I turned 29 in August and got pregnant with Houston on Thanksgiving.
How do you know?
Because I know.
I don't remember that.
You should remember more that baby than you did Emily, for sure.
I can't keep up with the. I don't know how you know exactly, but
I just knew.
It's like that game at the circus or at the festivals where you had the hammer and you hit it and the deal goes all the way up and ding rings the bell. Apparently on Thanksgiving the bell rang.
It did.
Ding.
It did.
Okay. TMI, too much information, folks. When can we ring the bell again?
Oh my gosh, after the video.
Practice.
Okay.
Practice ringing the bell.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry about my husband. I don't have my hat on.
Forgot your hat.
It's on the bar. Go to the doctor and find out when my due date is. And he was due 15 days before I turned 30. So now the joke with him is, or has always been, you barely made the cut.
Barely made the cut.
Barely made the cut.
A few weeks later, and we'd have been trading him in on something else. Like, sorry, buddy. Should have got here last week.
Yeah. So that is how he came about. The first half of that story.
The pregnancy story.
Wait
till you hear about delivery.
Yeah. So delivery.
This is interesting.
I didn't want to just have like a normal birth.
Listen, hang on, stop. When DJ goes into labor, she refuses help. She doesn't want doctors. She doesn't want people that have little sharp pokey things that they want to stick in her arms and places and back and all that. She says, give me a stick and I'm going to bite down on it. In a few minutes, I'll push this kid out because you're not putting a needle in my arm.
I don't like needles. I don't.
She also wanted to have Houston at home.
I considered it for about 5 minutes, but we live way out in the country and the creek and all the things. So
we're too far from the hospital for that.
Yes. So
Gemma, do tell them about it.
Jeez.
Yes, Gemma's still alive, by the way.
That was her. So I did a bunch of research, and obviously we couldn't do it at home. So
there she is, looking out the window.
So I found a doula out of Oklahoma City.
Oblongata?
Different. That's different.
The doula oblongata.
That's different.
Are you talking about? You're not talking about the
I'm not talking about water boy.
That's what makes alligators ornery.
Jeez. Oh, stay with me here. So I found a doula in Oklahoma City, and I wanted to have a water birth. When I said I wanted to have him at home, that's what I meant, in my bathtub.
I thought, why not just do it in the creek? It's August.
No.
It would have been perfect.
Negative.
I mean, just think how much time Houston has spent in the creek. If he would have been born in the creek, come on now. Like, he would have been a natural creek boy.
He already is.
Yeah, but it would have made for a cool story.
No. Well, my story is cool.
It would have made for a cooler story. Anyways,
my story is cool.
Back to DJ's story.
Found the doula, and I decided I wanted to do a water birth. Well, because Daniel is Chickasaw Native, we are able to use their facilities. And they had just built this big hospital, brand new hospital.
Super nice.
Super nice hospital.
Way nicer than the Chickasaw Nation hospital that Emily was born in. She was born in a closet.
Yeah, it was
They converted a closet into a room, and there was enough space for a bed, and the rest of us had to rub elbows.
Yeah, it was
And the
tiny.
TV was like touching the foot of the bed almost, so me and the midwife are trying to watch HGTV, and DJ's like, ah! in our ear the whole time.
Yeah.
Houston's room,
It was massive.
it's like the size of our living room. We could have lived in there.
Yeah, it was huge. But when I first started going to the doctor and I had midwives there, I said, listen, this is what I want to do. Do we need to ask for permission? What do we need to do? Because I want the pool here. I want to have
Well, that hospital had never done a water birth.
Yeah.
They didn't have a pool. They didn't.
No. So I rented a pool from the doula. The doula brought it down whenever I was in labor.
At one of your appointments, when you asked the midwife, you said,
yeah.
hey, what do I need to do to have a water birth here? Because I found a pool, I found a doula, I've got all this. Do we need to write a letter to the board, write a letter to the whoever's in charge at the hospital? And the midwife said, heck no.
She said, don't ask.
Don't tell anybody. And then we will ask for forgiveness instead of permission. Because if we ask for permission, there's going to be a lot of questions and problems.
So that's what we did.
We asked for forgiveness.
We didn't even have to do that.
They might have, but...
Well, yeah.
Okay, so back to...
So...
delivery day.
Yeah. I was I mean, my pregnancy was fairly easy. Toward the end, I went into labor about 3 weeks,
17 times?
No.
It seemed like all the time for a little while.
No, I went in like about 3 weeks early. I started like dilating. Like I was in labor and they had to give me a shot. And to stop it.
That was the worst day of her life.
No, it wasn't.
You got a shot.
Oh. I didn't like it, but they gave me a shot. And then I was already dilated to a 4. Or maybe it was a 3. And then I continued over the next 3 weeks to dilate. And so when I actually went in to have him, like we weren't inducing, but...
no, because we refuse to induce.
Well, here's the thing. I knew that if I could just get in there and they break my water, I'd have him.
Right.
And because that's just, I know my body, and that's what happened with the other 2.
But we also had a theory on ladies that get induced. And I still believe this today because I've known countless females that get pregnant. They have a doctor. He's a nice guy. She's a nice lady, whatever. And then they're 4 months pregnant and the doctor says, when would you like to schedule your induction? Well, what do you mean? Like, how do you know when the baby's ready to be born, first off? But they schedule this on the doctor's schedule because he's got to play golf on Tuesday and on Wednesday he's got to be over here. But Thursday he's free from 11 to 2. So we need to schedule this induction on Thursday at like 1 o'clock. Well, how do you know if the baby's ready to be born? You don't. So what happens is that this pretty little lady walks in 9 months pregnant and says, I'm here for my delivery. Okay, lay down in this bed and we're going to give you Pitocin, right? To induce your labor. So they do. And she lays there in agony for 6 or 8 hours. And they're like, well, you're not progressing fast enough. So we're going to give you another dose. But if you don't progress, we may have some problems. So they give her a second dose of Pitocin. And then she's screaming in pain for the next 4 or 5 hours. And then they walk in and say, well, the baby's in distress and we're having problems with the baby. The heart rate's all jacked up and we're concerned if you don't have this baby in the next hour, we're going to do a C-section. Well, really, the doctor says, if this baby's not born by 4 o'clock, I've got an appointment to be at 4:30, so we're going to do a C-section no matter what. And all of these women, not all, but so many of these women end up having a C-section around the doctor's schedule.
Yeah, and I'm not about that. I want the baby to come when it's supposed to come.
Right.
And I know there are all the different things, and you need that. That's not what
we're not talking about. Like
Yeah.
somebody trying to do a VBAC or
Yeah.
if somebody had a problem and they had to have a C-section, their next one's going to be a C-section no matter what. We're just talking about these poor girls that walk in there to get induced and walk out with a C-section baby.
Well, and for me, it's just frustrating that for whatever reason, I feel like so many women, young girls, whatever, young women, just automatically think that what the doctor says is how it's supposed to be. And that is not what I believe. You know, I know what I want and what my body's capable of, even if it's your first one. I feel like you kind of have an idea. You know, I know there's all the unpredictables, but just to have your own vote.
That's the thing. If you guys haven't met my wife, she's going to speak her mind and do her research and tell the doctor how she believes things are going to happen. And that was what was cool about having midwives and not so much just an OB. Because the midwives were great.
They were.
They didn't have anything better to do but sit around in the room with me and watch HGTV and talk about what kind of gardens we were growing.
Well, and what was so cool about our midwives is the one I saw when I was pregnant with Weston, I didn't use the Chickasaw Nation to have him, but she was working for an OB. And then by the time I got to have Emily, she was working for the Chickasaws, that same midwife. And so I got to use her for all 3 kids.
Right.
Now, she didn't deliver Houston, but I saw her throughout my pregnancy.
Me and your mom delivered Houston.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part.
That is true.
So let's get on to, back off of that subject, onto water birth.
Yes. So day of, I'm dilated to like a 5, and he needs to come out, and we go to the hospital, and we blow up this pool. It's basically just a big inflatable pool. Daniel has to run to Home Depot.
Listen, the doula dropped it off and said, "Here you go. Fill it up with water." And I was like, "How?" She said, "Just go buy you a water hose." Okay, but there's not a spigot in a hospital room to screw a water hose on. So what does old Dan do? I went to Home Depot, bought some channel lock pliers and a water hose and some fittings. And I took the shower head off the shower in the hospital bathroom and screwed a water hose on there and had a green garden hose running across the hospital. And the nurses walked in and they're like,
"What do we do?"
"We're going to go down the hall. Y'all have fun." And that's, I mean, like, they knew we were having a water birth, but I had to get water in that pool somehow.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
we looked like some hillbillies.
Yeah, so I labored in the water. The nurse, one of the nurses came in and was like, "I have to give you this IV and you're going to have the pole." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm getting in the water. I'm not going to be attached to a pole.
I don't want to be stuck to this bed."
Yeah, I was not going to stay in the bed. And
she's hard-headed.
well, so I knew he was my last baby, so I wanted it how I wanted it, like, you know. And so we agreed on a port. They put a port in my hand and taped it all up just in case we needed it. And I got out a couple of times for them to monitor him, put the deal on me. Yeah. He was fine. They broke my water and I had him. We got to the hospital at like 2:15, and he was born at 8:28.
He was born at 8:28, but at about 8:25, so DJ had been in and out of the pool, and, you know, I got in the pool with her, and you would massage her back and tell her she's pretty, and, you know, all the things that you tell a woman that's in labor, because I don't know what I'm doing, and she's hurting, and I don't know what to do. But the midwives didn't really, they weren't in the room. Like, there was no nurse in the room. There was no, it was just us and her mom, and your stepsister was there because she was videoing, and we can't find the video. I don't know where that's at.
Yes, oh my gosh, the whole thing was video.
There was a few family members there, you know.
And Dusty ended up being in there.
Dusty was there, but he wasn't in the room at the moment. Just he was moving around, and
he was actually hiding behind the curtain.
Well, because DJ was, you know, not dressed.
I had on a sports bra.
Anyway, so you still had your panties on at the time.
Yeah.
Because we're sitting in the tub. Mm-hmm. And you had got out to get monitored, and they did all that stuff, and then the nurses left, and we got back in the tub, and you said, like, your whole tone changed, your voice changed, your eyes glazed over, and you got this, you look like demons were coming out of you, and you said, "He's coming out." And we were like, "No, you're not. You're fine." And you were like, "He's coming out." And we were like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like behind DJ in the pool, so I can't peek over and look at the scary parts. So her mom walks up and she's like, "Sissy, we got to get your panties off. There's a head coming out of you."
Yeah.
And like we took her clothes off, and Dusty left the room, got behind the curtain, and people started telling the nurses and the midwife and everybody, "Hey, she's having a baby."
She's pushing.
And by the time the midwife came in, Houston's head was out.
His head was out. Yeah.
Okay. So she just kind of was like, "Okay, well, you keep doing what you're doing." And so she pushes a couple times and like gets to his shoulders, and we're focused on the task at hand, you know, because like we're delivering a baby by ourselves. And your mom's like, "It's okay, Sissy, it's okay." You know, she calls her Sissy. And I look up, and we had an audience. Like it went from a couple people in the room there to every staff member that was on the maternity floor was in our room, because most of them had never seen a water birth. Yeah. So we went from this little private setting, and we look up and we're like, "Oh, hello everybody." It was like the media was alerted, and everybody just flocked in.
Well, I think they might have heard me.
Well, they could have.
Because I yelled a couple times.
Yeah.
He was not a little baby.
No. But so DJ pushes Houston out, and so many people's question was, what happens when the baby's born? How do you keep him from drowning? Not the nurses, but like random people that we told what we were doing. They're like, "He's going to drown if he comes out in the water."
I remember one of them asking the pediatrician on call. They were like, "She's wanting to have this baby in the water. Is that okay?" And he was like, "Yeah, what do you think he's in now?
He's swimming right
He's
now.
in water. Like,
So as long as he doesn't come up and get a breath of air and go back under, he can hang out underwater for minutes.
yeah.
So Houston is like born, and that was just crazy in the water because he just comes out like different than they do when they hit the air, you know?
Yeah.
And by the time he came out and they put him up on her chest, like everybody in the room's jaws are just like, it was the coolest thing.
It was.
I'd never experienced anything like that.
I mean, I'm not having any more babies, but that would be the only way I ever had more babies. The water was just, it worked as a natural drug. The hot water or warm water, whatever.
When you were pregnant, we got a hot tub. We bought a hot tub and turned the temperature down to like body temperature. The doctors were like, don't run it at 103, 105. That's too hot. So we put it at like DJ's body temperature-ish range. And she would just get in that hot tub and just sit there. And her belly would float. It took all the pressure off.
Yeah, it was really neat.
So that was what having a baby in the water just took all that weight off of you, I feel like. And
yeah,
I don't know. It was cool.
It was. I loved it. I recommend that to everyone. It was just, and then because Daniel was sitting behind me, like, of course, when they got Houston and put him on me or whatever, I'm still in the pool, but they put a towel over my lap and, and I'm sitting down, so you can't see anything. But
like by now we're in a bowl of soup. we're in a soup bowl.
You're so gross.
Onions floating by.
My God. Daniel.
DJ's body parts are floating by me. This got a little weird. We're sitting in the pool in a DJ suit.
Why are you so graphically gross?
I'm just trying to make sure people get the picture of what was going on.
They know. They know. They're mostly women. They know. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I'm
Moving on beyond the soup.
Turn the fan on.
It gets better. Trust me. Go ahead.
So, because Daniel's sitting behind me, and obviously the umbilical cord is not very long, he couldn't, cut it.
Houston's umbilical cord's still not very long. Like, we walk and he's like...
So, my brother came and cut the cord, and it was very sweet. And, yeah, that's how Houston was born. He weighed 8'11". He was a big baby. My biggest baby. Emily was 8'7". Weston was 6'14". I'm glad my first was the smallest. So
then you have to talk about what you did after that, because it was the weirdest thing for 27-year-old me to experience and have to do. Okay.
So,
what comes after the baby?
The placenta.
Okay. What typically happens to a placenta in a hospital?
They dispose of it.
They wad it up in the little bed sheet things, the little puppy pads that you're laying on, and they throw it in the trash. Not old DJ.
Nope. So that same
DJ
doula.
wanted to make beef jerky.
I did not.
You wanted to. That's basically what we did.
No. So, the same doula that I used.
Witch doctor. Okay. The witch doctor.
She was not a witch doctor. They had started doing this, it's called placenta encapsulation. And basically they take your placenta immediately.
DJ had to get out and get on the bed and have the placenta birth. I don't know. We had to get that thing out.
You passed the placenta.
You passed it. All right. Okay.
Every woman has to do that.
Right. That's not the gross part. The gross part after that is the nurses are like, okay, so you're saving this? And we're like, yeah.
I already had the paperwork done. We did not have to have this drawn out conversation right then. They already knew in advance.
So, when you go to the grocery store and you get those little tinfoil pans to take to your potluck?
Daniel, that is not what they used.
It's basically what happened. I had to carry out the placenta because the doula wouldn't come in the hospital, because I don't know if like the witch doctor's not allowed into the hospital or what.
Oh my God.
She wouldn't come in. So I had to take DJ's placenta.
You're horrifying.
It's like
what is wrong with
walk of shame through the hospital.
Nobody could see it.
I knew what I was carrying.
Oh my gosh.
So I have to go meet this lady in the parking lot. Like there's this drug deal going on in the parking lot of the hospital. I'm like, hey, how much you getting for placentas these days?
Stop.
I got a fresh one right here.
Oh my gosh.
The doula takes the placenta back to her house and throws it in the dehydrator.
Yep.
Dehydrates it. And then she puts it in her little food processor, I'm guessing. Hopefully not the same food processor that she like uses to cook her kids' meals and stuff. Grinds this thing up into a very fine powder. And then sends it back to DJ. And look what we still have.
Listen.
Listen.
You put it in the freezer and you can even read it.
Yeah.
They're pills.
There's DJ's placenta.
You're making me
Wonder why the capsules are red. Anyways, your part.
So, you can use these during stressful times. You can do them, like, the reason I got them, had this done, was because they put all the nutrients back into your body that you lose during labor. Now, you can use these throughout your life. I took them I got them like 2 days after we were home. She got them back to me. And I took these for about a week. And it was like I never had a baby.
Okay, so here's the theory. And I know I'm graphic and gross, but most mammals, when this little fine young looking lady right here goes into labor and has her little puppies, what does she do with her placenta? She eats it. When our goats go into labor and they have their babies, they turn around and they eat the afterbirth. Now, part of that is for predators, and DJ had me in the hospital. She wasn't too concerned, I don't think, about predators coming in and munching on her newborn baby because she had little skinny, scrawny Dan to protect her. But they do. I mean, animals eat their afterbirth. And it stimulates milk production. It stimulates hormones. It stimulates a lot of things. And we're saving them for menopause.
We are. That is one of the things. You can save them, which is why I still have them. I took them as long as I needed them at the time. And
I have one question. If you start taking these pills, are you going to start producing milk? Because I could see a bonus to some extra fun times.
Get out.
Just asking.
You're done.
Like I liked DJ.
You're almost just done.
I liked DJ when she was nursing for sure.
So anyway, yes, I did what was called placenta encapsulation. And I don't even care that you make a big weird deal about it.
I just think it's funny. Like I don't know any other females that have ever gnawed on their placenta.
Well, I was in a group with this lady, and there's a lot of other people.
Well, of course, if you're talking to the witch doctor, she's going to be like, all my other little witch doctor friends think this is good. I don't think she's wrong.
I was not the only one doing it.
You're the only one I know that did it.
Okay.
And you did not have postpartum depression.
I did not. I had so much energy, and I don't know. I felt
Maybe we should take those for CrossFit workouts. Maybe we could get... Anybody else got an extra placenta laying around?
Stop!
It might be a new, pre-workout.
Oh, my gosh.
Bust the capsule open. Whoa! I'm good to work out now.
I'm sorry.
Like creatine,
sorry.
Dry scoop. So there's Houston's story.
There is Houston's story. We are going to put some pictures in here. Because I have all the pictures from the birth, but
I'll edit them in along the video as we're talking about water birth and all that. We're not all going to put them all at the end. We'll put some.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. So I want to add that Houston has loved the water since he was born. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but he has loved the water since he was born. Little bitty all the way till current. He does not care what the body of water looks like. He will go in and he will say it was an accident and it was really on purpose.
He's already asked me if we had a spot in the pond where we could swim. I'm like, well, no, because I filled it full of debris. I don't want to swim in the pond. It's not going to be for that.
Yeah.
We have a creek for that.
Yeah, and unfortunately we have a bazillion trees here and we can never have a pool. So, there's that.
Indoor pools only in our house, and we're not doing that.
That's, no.
Well, in Florida, like in Miami, everybody has a pool in their backyard, and then they have the mosquito net around it, basically a big screened-in room, because they have no-see-ums, and they'll torture you to death.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway, Houston is our barely made the cut baby.
Barely made it. Could you imagine what our life would be like if we didn't have Houston?
Oh, like we would almost be empty nesters. A year away from being empty nesters. Mm-hmm. This is wild.
Yeah. Can't say that I wouldn't have started a YouTube channel because I had that before Houston.
Yeah.
Now, I can't say that it would be where it is if Houston and I didn't have all of our crazy wild adventures. But it would have, our life would look a lot different without that crazy guy in our life.
Yeah. He is.
He's our adventurer for sure. I mean, he's the one that's like, we need to find something. We need to go over here. We need to go fishing in Colorado. We need to go over here. We need to do this. When are we going to book a trip for this? When are we going to do that? Emily's chill. She's like, yeah, I want to go to the Bahamas to lay on the beach. Houston's like, I want to go to the Bahamas so we can catch this, and 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 we can catch this. And Weston's like, I can take a good nap in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
That was the joke on our channel for a long time, really. For several years, Weston was a teenager and early college years. If we traveled somewhere, like Donovan, our buddy Donovan, still to this day gives Weston a hard time every time he sees him because we went to Miami, Florida to shoot iguanas in the edges of the Everglades off of a boat with a blow dart gun, and Donovan's like this great animated guy that's just like make sure everybody's having fun, and he's got iguanas hanging out of his mouth, and he's biting their tails and making it fun. And we look up and Weston's under the deck of the boat sleeping. Like, what are you doing? Like, get up. And when we went to the Bahamas, we took the kids to the Bahamas. I'm ready to go back. The Bahamas was so cool.
It was amazing.
We have a big anniversary coming up in almost exactly a year. We might have to do something. But when we went to the Bahamas, we got pictures. Weston had fun. Don't get me wrong. He enjoyed it. But the rest of us are just like this. Look at the water. Look at the rocks. Look at the birds. Look at the fish. And Weston's like, I'm going to kick back and take a nap in the sun. And he, we got pictures. He is beet red. Just sleeping on the boat. And we're like, Weston, put on sunscreen, get under a towel. And he's like, no.
I want to tan.
I'm fine.
Yeah. He jumped off some cliffs.
He had fun. Don't get me wrong. But there was the joke. If we went somewhere cool, Weston was taking a nap.
But back to Houston, his personality is, he's in the body of a 12-year-old right now, but I feel like his mind most of the time is a 75-year-old man.
I have no idea where he would get that.
Yeah, no idea.
No idea.
But every day he comes home, or we pick him up, he comes in the house. What are we doing today?
What are our plans?
What are our plans? What are y'all doing tomorrow? Can we fish? Can we go here? Can we fish?
I can pick him up from school in the rain and it's 50 degrees and we're like, well, it's going to be worse. There's calling for chance of storms and it's going to get colder. And he's like, Dad, can we go to the lake? I'm like, no, it's raining and lightning. And he's like, well, I watched this video the other day on TikTok and this guy said he caught a 9-pound bass in the rain. So that means all the 9-pound bass are going to bite in the rain. So if we don't go to the lake today, we're missing out. And he really believes that. He's like, let's go. I say, no, not today.
No, not today. Matter of fact, when the creek was up last week, he was like, Dad, can we take the boat? Can we go to the lake? And our creek is flooded. Like, we can't get out at all. And I'm like, Houston, how are we going to get the boat out? And he's like, oh, yeah.
In his mind, we're just going to put it in the creek and go.
Gonna put
Technically, it's possible, but not the safest for a bass boat.
No. So, yeah, life would look very different without him. I cannot imagine. And what was crazy too, I forgot to mention this, is that picture just made me think about it. He was born with straight black hair. I'll include that in there, but straight black hair. And then it falls out and it comes back blonde and curly.
Sure did.
Which was, so when I had Emily, I was hoping that she was going to have blue eyes and curly hair. I didn't care what color her hair was. I just hoped she'd had curly hair. When we found out she was a girl, I was like, maybe she'll have blue eyes.
A little biased to curly hair?
Yeah.
Blue eyes?
Yes.
What's wrong with brown eyes and straight hair?
I just wanted, that's what I wanted her to have. And I wanted my girl to have curly hair. And she did not have curly hair. And
or
she
blue
did
eyes.
Not have blue eyes. They're big old brown eyes.
Because she's full of it. Up to right here.
But Houston came along and he got the blue eyes and the curly hair.
And all the women are like, that boy's so cute.
Emily wants him to grow his hair out so bad again, and he just won't right now. Ugh. I wish he would. I miss his curls.
All right, well, they're not here. No curls.
No curls.
Not right now.
No. So,
wrap it up. This thing's getting a little wordy here.
I'm sorry.
41 minutes. Some of us have work to do. We can't just sit around and talk to the camera all day.
I'm not all day. I'm doing other stuff.
Okay.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video.
I'm out.
I love doing these. They're fun. I just struggle with topics. So, also, I forgot about no dumb questions. So, if you want to ask me some no dumb questions.
And she might answer them on a future podcast style video in 6 months.
I'll try to do better. I'm so sorry.
DJ's wanting to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel this year, and I'm trying to explain to her one video a week's gonna be tough. Not saying it's impossible. It's gonna be tough because she's a long ways from it, technically.
Well, here's my theory. Summer is busier, so I will have more to video.
Will you?
Maybe.
Okay, well, Earl's been at my feet the whole time, and he wants some attention, so him and I are going to go do our thing, and you end your video.
Okay, song of the video. I'm going to go with Houston's current favorite song right now. It is by Hudson Westbrook. It's called Weatherman, and Houston is currently wanting to be a tornado chaser. That's his current thing. We watched Twister the second Twister the other day, and so now he's like all about the tornado chasing. So you guys go listen to that song. Great song. We just got to see Hudson a few weeks ago at CAFRI. He's great in concert. Yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, do your best.